Good morning, class. Uh, we are going to start today's lecture by beginning with what we discussed in the previous class. Hmm? So, in the previous class, we started with eccentric loading, right? So, all of you can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, we started with eccentric footing in the last class, and also we have seen how to find out the bearing capacity of a soil of a footing which has been subjected to eccentric loading. Okay, and also this Q max and Q minimum, how to find out these maximum stress and minimum stress below the foundation. So we have seen. Okay, and then we started this field methods to determine the bearing capacity of the soil. Okay, so in this we already discussed the standard penetration test. So if you have any doubts regarding the standard penetration test, you can free to ask now. Okay, so if you don't have any doubts, then I will go to the next type of uh, field test. Okay, that is a plate load test. Hmm? Any doubts regarding standard penetration test? Hmm? So standard penetration test, it is just you have to count the number of blows required for the almost how much this 15 plus 15 plus 15. Okay, so around 45 centimeter. Okay, so in that 45 centimeter penetration, you have to neglect that first 15 centimeter blows. That you should neglect because that will be considered as a seating load. Then only the successive 15 centimeter we have to count. That will give me the n value. Okay, again, once you get the n value, those require some corrections like energy corrections. I already explained what is this energy correction, and we have to apply some overburden correction also, and some this dilatancy correction. Okay, so these after these three corrections, whatever n value will get, no, that n value we have to take and then go to this IS 6403. Okay, so in that IS 6403, this chart will be there. Okay, so in this chart, see here, standard penetration test, standard penetration resistance, whatever n value is there, no, after the corrections I am telling. Okay, so after the corrections, you take, suppose after the correction I got a n value of 30. Then what is my phi value? Phi will be 36 degree. Okay, once I get that phi value, then I can go to that corresponding for this 36 degree. I should get NC, NQ, and N gamma. Okay, so these things I should get, and then if you refer IS 6403, there you will have formulas to calculate shape factor, depth factor, and inclination factors. Okay, so those things if you have to calculate. Then once you get all the values, just plug into this equation, you will get the bearing capacity. Okay, so now today we'll start with a plate load test. Wait a minute. Okay, so what is this plate load test? What is the aim of this plate load test? The aim is the bearing capacity, to find out the bearing capacity and settlement of the foundation. Okay, so these are the two aim of this test, plate load test. Okay, so this plate load test procedure and everything, it will be described in IS 1882 1982. Okay, so this IS code you should refer for the detailed procedure, test procedure. Okay, and also there is a ASTM code also. ASTM code is not useful for our Indian scenario. This is American standard testing materials. Okay, so we will stick to IS 1882. So what is the, see, what is the, in the nutshell, if I want to tell what is the plate load test, see, ultimately what you are going to do, you are going to construct some structure on the foundation, right, on the soil. Okay, so what you have to do, see, this plate is, this plate is representative of your foundations, whatever foundations are there, no, that is the representation is represented with this plate. Okay, now we'll apply the load on this plate. We'll apply the load on this plate, which is almost equal to your whatever load coming from your structure. Okay, that much load we will apply, and then we will observe with respect to time. We'll observe how the settlement is going on. Suppose first I will apply some sigma 1. I will apply some pressure, sigma 1 pressure I will apply, and then I will take a reading for 24 hours. I will take readings, how much it is settling under this load. Then next day I will come and then I will put another load on this plate. That will be my sigma 2. Under that sigma 2, then again for 24 hours I will observe how much settlement is occurring. Okay, so for the sigma 1, I got at the end of the 24 hours I got some settlement, and for the next day for sigma 2 I got another settlement here. Like that, I will get a curve like this. I will get a curve which is a pressure or stress or applied pressure versus the settlement of the plate. Okay, once you get this plot, so here see there is a clear indication of settlement is keep on increasing. Okay, here, so this will be considered as your ultimate bearing capacity of the soil. Okay, so where this sharp turn will take this curve, so that point will be your ultimate bearing capacity. Okay, so here are some filled pictures. You see, this is the truss with and this truss will be like grouted inside this ground with the help of some nails. What they will do, they will grout, they will fix inside the ground, and then here there is a what do you call that? We'll apply some pressure. Okay, so you see here, can you see this machine? So with this help, we will read how much pressure has been applied. Okay, then what will happen under this pressure? This jack will try to lift the this truss. Okay, so by taking that as a reaction, in turn it will apply reaction force on the ground on this plate. Here plates are there. Can you see the plates here? In some other photos are there where these plates will be very clear. There I will explain it more clear. Okay, so this is the truss and this is the equipment to apply the pressure. Here jack will be there. And see, so there are different types of tests are there. Okay, so this is conventionally used, and then a little bit advanced. See again, see these this setup will take a lot of time and also money is required. Okay, so instead of that, what you can do, whatever, see, anyway construction site means freely you will get these cranes and all will be available there itself. Okay, so simply you take that weight as a reaction, and then you put a jack in below that, and below that you have a plate here. Okay, so can you see the plate here? So with the help of this hand operated pressure gauge meter, we will apply the pressure on this. We will apply the pressure so that it will try to lift the this crane. Okay, so in turn it will take a reaction. It will apply on the this circular plate. Okay, so there are two types of loadings in the plate load test. Okay, so one is the gravity load and another one is the reaction loading. Okay, so gravity load means simply you will put a lot of weight on the, see, this is the pit. Okay, can you see? So this is your pit. In this pit, here is the plate. Test plate is here. This is the test plate. And this is some column, loading column we will call. Okay, so this loading column we will put, and over that loading column you put some dead load. Dead load, it may be like a sandbags, maybe some precast concrete blocks also you can put, whatever you want. Okay, so some kinds of weight I should put. Okay, so then we will apply the same pressure will be applied, and you see this is the dial gauges. So these dial gauges will be put over this plates, and then we will take the reading or we will take the settlement of those plate. under this dead load. Okay, so this is the not commonly used. This is rarely used in the field because of danger. There may be some accident may happen during this kind of a loading situation, because always this kind of loading will project some kind of risk will be there, because people have to take a reading here in the pit. Okay, so here always some engineers will be working here, because once this, if it is fails, means everything it will be fall on these whatever who are working inside the pit. Okay, so a little bit risk is involved in the this kind of a gravity loading platform. Okay, so to avoid that, we have a reaction type of loading. Okay, so this is the reaction loading platform, okay, which is relatively or comparatively safer than your gravity loading. Okay, so this is commonly used in the field. So even in the examination also, you should draw this figure. This figure you should draw. Okay, so don't draw this figure. This is very rarely people are using this kind of loading situation. Okay, so this is the reaction type. So here some these channels will be there, steel channels. Okay, so on that steel channels we will put some again dead load will be put, and then we will apply some jack. And this jack, what will happen once you apply the pressure, it will try to lift this loading, this whatever load you have put. Okay, so with the help of that, it will apply a reaction on the plate. Then what will happen? Plate will try to settle. This plate will try to settle. Okay, so this settlement will be read by these dial gauges. Okay, so these are the dial gauges. So somewhat more closer look here. Okay, so this is the steel plate, and this is the jack, and this is the pressure gauge reading it is. Okay, we will see how much pressure has been applied. So then these are the dial gauges. At least 2 dial gauges should be kept on the diametrically opposite side. And this is the plate. This is the steel plate of a 25 mm thickness will be there. This is circular steel plate. Okay, similarly there will be square steel plate also. Okay, so these are the handles just to carry these steel plates, and also to adjust on the ground. You see, this is another picture. So where crane is there, this is the these jack. Let's see this pipe. Can you see this pipe? With this pipe we will apply oil pressure here, and then it will try to push this or lift this crane. See here 3 dial gauges we have put, 1, 2, 3, even 4th also you can put here. Okay, so average of that you can take as a settlement. Okay, so always dial gauge will give you settlement, and pressure gauge will give you the pressure applied on the soil. And this is one field picture here. You see, this is the pit. This is the pit where always the plate should be kept where you are going to put your foundation. Suppose if you are going to put your foundation at 3 meter depth inside the ground, then you have to excavate all the 3 meter soil you have to excavate. Then see here, people are working inside this. This is called Kent ledge. Under this Kent ledge, they are working here. You see, can you see some light here? Okay, so they will be taking the readings. Okay, so this is inside that pit. Okay, so from the outside the pit look like this. Once you go inside, it look like this. Okay, so you see this is the pit, and this is the plate. You see, this is the plate. Here can you see 3 plates are there. Okay, always we will keep 3 plates. Okay, so first plate, second plate, and third plate. And this is the loading column. Okay, so this is the loading column. And can you see these dial gauges? Okay, so these are the dial gauges. These are the dial gauges which will take the settlement of this plate. Okay, so this is the plate. And this is the pit. Can you see this pit here? So this is the pit. Okay. And again some other field photos here. Okay, so this is the Kent ledge. This is the this pit. Inside the pit, we will put these jacks, and then we will apply the pressure. Okay, now there are different types of plates are available in the market. Okay, so you can use like different dimensions. So there will be a circular one, and as well as there will be a square one. Okay, so dimensions like 30 centimeter, 45 centimeter, 60 centimeter, 75 centimeter, different kinds of plates will be available. Depending on your size of the foundation, you can choose these plates, and the minimum thickness of the plate will be 25 mm. Okay, so this is the minimum thickness you should maintain. The smaller size for stiff or dense soil, and larger size for the soft or loose soil. Okay, so whatever these sizes are, accordingly you can use. So bottom of the plate is glued to increase the roughness. You see the bottoms, if you see the lower surface of these, if you lift this plate now, if you lift this place inside this, there will be some grooves will be there like this. Okay, just to have just to avoid any slippage. Okay, once if we have a grooves, then it will be like very good bonding will be there between plate as well as between the soil. Okay, so that's why these grooves will be available in the plates. Okay, so instead of steel plate, even you can use the concrete blocks, which will be more closer to your foundation. Okay, so you can even use the concrete blocks also. So this is about specifications of the plate. And what are the specification of the pit? So this is the see, this is the plate. Always the pit size should be 5 times your width of plate. So whatever thickness, whatever width of the plate will be, that 5 times should be your pit size. Okay, so this is the sectional view of the pit, and this is the plan view of the pit. So this is the plate. This is the steel plate, and this is this outer, whatever the outer bigger square you will see, no. So this is your pit. Okay, now we will see the procedure. What is the what are the different steps involved in the plate load test? Okay, so first step is you have to apply some seating pressure. You have to apply some seating pressure. How much seating pressure? Around 7 kilopascal you have to apply, and then maintain for some time, and then remove that load. Okay, so that is my first step. And second step is the loads are applied in increments of approximately 1/5 of the estimated ultimate safe load. Okay, so suppose if Q ultimate is around some 250 kilonewton per kilopascal. So 250 kilopascal. Okay, so now this is your Q ultimate. Then 1/5 of this, in that interval you should apply the load. 1/5 means how much it will come? 250 divided by 5. Okay, so around 50. Okay, so if so 50 kilopascal for the 5 times you have to apply. Like first I will apply some 50 kilopascal, and I will maintain this load for almost 24 hours. I will maintain, and I'll then under that load I will take the settlements. Okay, then next day again I will apply another 50 kilopascal, then it will become 100, then 150, then 200, then 250. Like that you can apply. So you are 1/5 of the ultimate load bearing capacity you have to apply, or you have a choice. You can even apply 100 kilopascal. Okay, so irrespective of your ultimate load, you can apply. Suppose in the increment of 100 kilopascal also you can apply. Then what is the third step? At each load settlement is recorded. Okay, suppose under 50 kilopascal, whatever I applied during first day, I have to take the readings for first 1 minute I should take, then after 2.25 minutes, 4 minutes, 6.25 minutes, 9 minutes, 16 minutes, 25 minutes, and then thereafter at every 1 hour interval. Okay, after half an hour you can increase the interval of readings. Okay, for every 1 hour. Like that for 24 hours you should take the readings. Then for clay soil, this is for clay soil, the load is increased when the time settlement curve shows that the settlement has exceeded 70 to 80% of the possible ultimate settlement at the start of the at that stage, or for a duration of 24 hours. This is for, because clay is always you should give more time, because what will happen in the clay, the settlement will be a little very slow. It will be. So that's why we'll give at least 24 hours. We will give for the clay type of soils. because of low permeability will allow a longer time, because whatever once you apply the load, no, that load will be taken by some pore water pressure. Okay, so that pore water pressure, to dissipate that pore water pressure, you need a longer time. Okay, so that's why for the clays the observation period for loading will be more. Okay. So what is my fifth step here? For other types of soil, the load is increased when the settlement rate drops below 0.02 mm per minute. Okay, so if you have a other type of soil like sandy soil, okay, so you need not to apply for 24 hours. So once the settlement rate is decreased for 0.02 mm per minute, okay, so then you can go for the next incremental load. The minimum duration for any load should be 60 minutes. At least 60 minutes you should keep for each load. Like 50 kilopascal, I told, no, this 50 kilopascal should be at least in sandy type of soil. Even though if it is a sandy type of soil, at least you should put that load for a almost 1 hour. You should put it. If you have a clay type of soil, then whatever this load is there, that load should be kept for 24 hours. So dial gauges used for the testing should have at least 25 mm travel dial gauge, and also its accuracy should be 0.01 mm. The load settlement curve can then be plotted from the settlement data. So here is the load settlement curve. You see, this is the settlement in the y direction, and your applied pressure in the x direction. Okay, so you will get a curve like this. So for the corresponding settlement, suppose you are building some very important structure where your settlement allowable settlement is some 40 mm. So for that 40 mm, what is my Q allowable I can take? Okay, so for that, suppose this is at 40 mm, I will get a Q allowable. That means your allowable load bearing capacity of the soil will be corresponding to that settlement. Okay, so but for different types of soil, we'll get a different types of curves. Okay, so this is the general curve. All the curve, you won't see exact point of your bending here. Okay, so you see this point, you can take it as a Q ultimate, that is ultimate bearing capacity of the soil, but you won't get this sharp bending in all the type of soil. Okay, you see, these are the different types of curves generally you will get. Okay, so I will ask you to concentrate on this curve, B curve and B curve, B and D. You see, so B and D, we have this sharp bending here. Okay, you see the sharp bending you can see here, and also for the B curve also. Okay, let me draw. See, here sharp bend will be there here, and also as well as for the B type of soil, this soil you see. Okay, so here we will get a clear picture where the soil is failing. Where the soil is failing. So these points are Q ultimate. Okay, but what are those soil? First, D soil is this kind of curve we will get for a dense cohesionless soil. Okay, so dense cohesionless soil and cohesion soil. Okay. For the dense cohesionless and cohesion soil, you will get a clear indication of a failure load. But whereas now you see, you concentrate on other two curve, A and C. So this A curve and C curve you see. See A curve, you see this one. This is almost the same straight line will be there. There is no sharp bending here. Okay, as well as for this curve also. This curve also you see. There is no much clear indication of your failure load. Okay, so so those will be usually a case for a loose to medium cohesionless soil as well as for partially cohesion soil. So for partially cohesion soil as well as for loose to medium cohesionless soil, we'll get this kind of loading. For this kind of curves. For a dense cohesionless soil and for cohesion soil, we will get these kinds of curves. But how to find out the failure loads for these types of curves, like your loose to medium corrosionless soil as well as partially corrosive soil. So in that case, you have to draw two tangents here. Okay, so one tangent at the initial stage. See this curve. One tangent at the initial stage and another tangent at the final stage. Okay, so wherever they meet, no, these two tangents where they will meet, that will be taken as your Q ultimate. So this is your Q ultimate. Similarly for this partially corrosive soil also, you see this red dotted line. Okay, so this red dotted line is the first tangent at the initial stage of the curve, and this is second dotted red line is the tangent for this portion of the curve. Okay, so where they will meet, that will be your Q ultimate. Anyway, for the other two curves, it will be by just by looking at the curve itself, you can judge, you can conclude that what is your ultimate load bearing capacity. But whereas in loose to medium corrosionless soil as well as partially corrosionless soil, then you have to plot these tangents, and then you should get the ultimate load bearing capacity where they are two tangents are meeting. So this is how we will calculate the ultimate load bearing capacity as well as the settlement. Okay, so this is the settlement of the plate, but what is the settlement of foundation? Okay, this is settlement of plate, but I don't know, still I don't know what is the settlement of the foundation. Ultimately, you are not going to build a structure on the plate, right? You have to put your foundation. Okay, so once I know the settlement of the plate, then I can extrapolate that to my foundation settlement. Okay, so to extrapolate that settlement of the foundation, I have to use this formula. Okay, so what is this one? Settlement of the footing. F stands for footing divided by settlement of the plate is equal to breadth of footing, breadth of plate, breadth of plate, breadth of footing. Okay, so whole square. If you have to use this equation, which is given by Terzaghi and Peck in 1948. So from the experiment, what are the things you know? I have calculated this one. Calculated from what? Plate load test. Settlement of the plate I know. Anyway, breadth of foundation I know, breadth of plate also I know, and breadth of plate also I know, and then breadth of the foundation I know. Okay, simply substitute all the input parameters, and then I will get a settlement of foundation. So that is SF. Understood? Okay. So once I know, know about the plate load test, see this plate load test is also not perfect one. Okay, so this is also having some drawbacks or limitations. What are those limitations? We will see. So the limitations of the plate load test. What are the limitations? So first limitation is the width of a test plate should not be less than 30 centimeter. Whatever this steel plate will use, that should not be less than 30 centimeter, because it is experimentally shown that the load settlement behavior of the soil is qualitatively different for smaller widths. Okay, so if you keep on reducing the whatever results we'll get, it is dependent on the width of your steel plate. Okay, so that's why that is the one of the limitation. Okay, minimum minimum width of the plate should be 30 centimeter. Okay, you can't use less than that. That is one limitation. What is the second limitation? The settlement influence zone is much larger for the real foundation size than that of the test plate, which may lead to gross misinterpretation of expected settlement for the proposed foundation. Okay, what do you mean by that? You see, this is my plate. This is my steel plate, and this is my foundation. actual foundation. Always actual foundation will be very will be of a diameter width of maybe 1.5 meter to 2 meter width. Usually we'll use. Okay, whereas your plate width is how much? Plate width is just 30 centimeter, maximum 100 centimeter. But as you see, for the suppose if you are using a 100 centimeter plate, what will be the influence zone? Influence zone will be only this much only. Okay. So if you are using a 100 centimeter, sorry, let me increase the size here. Okay, I think now it will be, see, see, this is the a steel plate. For this steel plate, suppose this width is some 100 centimeter, then what is the influence zone? Almost 100. Only this much is your influence zone. Suppose here you have a dense soil. Okay, so here you have a dense soil and here you have a very loose soil. What will happen? Usually you will get a very good bearing capacity. You will get based on the plate load test. Now I will think that okay, soil is very good because I'm getting very good ultimate load bearing capacity with the help of this plate load. Now I will put your actual foundation. Okay, but your actual foundation width will be 1.5 to 2 meter, which is of a very high dimension as compared to your plate. Then what is the influence zone of this actual foundation? This is your influence zone, right? So this is your influence zone. So usually the depth will be of a 1.5 to 2 meter, almost that much depth it will influence. Suppose here you have a dense soil and here you have a loose soil. What will happen? Suppose the settlement will actually increase because of a soft soil below your dense soil. So that's why this whatever results you will get from this small plate, no, that sometimes it will misguide you. Okay? So that's why this test is applicable only if you have a uniform type of soil. Only one type of uniform type of soil is there, then only this test results are applicable. If you have like this kind of layered soil, then this test results are erroneous. Okay. Now, so that is my second limitation. Okay, what is the third limitation? The foundation settlement in loose sands are usually much larger than what predicted by the plate load test. Okay, so that means what? In the loose sand, these whatever these plate load from the plate load test, whatever the settlement you will calculate, those are underestimated. But in actual case, the settlements will be more higher than whatever estimated by your plate load. That in case of a loose sand. What is my final limitation? The plate load test is relatively short duration test. Okay, so maybe you may conduct for 4 days or 5 days. Okay, so but usually this consolidation will take like 6 months together or years together. It will take. Okay, so whatever the settlement you will capture from the plate load test, no, those are essentially just the immediate settlement. So which is fair enough in granular type of soil, but this immediate if you have a cohesive soil, then immediate settlement contribution is very less. The major contribution in the settlement is played by home consolidation settlement. Okay, but that consolidation settlement is not going to capture through this plate load test. That's why these results are of a questionable in clay type of soil. Okay, so these test results are erroneous in clay type of soil. This is my final limitations. Okay, so one is size effect, and another one is your this consolidation effect. So these you cannot capture those things through this plate load test. So these are the few limitations of the plate load test. So this is your okay. I have some videos. So of this plate load test, we will see one video, and then we will start solving some problems. So this is almost complete your syllabus. I may need another one, two class where I will solve some problems. A few more problems I want to solve it. All whatever these examination problems. So that will be conclusion of your fourth unit. Hmm? So before going to this video, I want to ask you if you have any doubts regarding the plate load test. So if you don't have any doubts, then we will go for the video. Any doubts regarding the plate load test? Sneha Badgeri?
No, sir.
Chinmay? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. Who are there here again? Who is Sumangala? Any doubts, Sumangala?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you understood the plate load test? So what are its limitations and what are the benefits? So main benefit is see, it is almost representing your foundation. Like only a size is smaller, but rest of the thing will be almost it will simulate your foundation. But the limitation is see, you can't take. But nowadays, what is there? Due to more advanced in these loading platform and also your equipment, even you can use a bigger size. Even if you have a very important structure, like a dam foundations and all, there you can even simulate actual foundation width. You can simulate and you can apply a load. Okay, so those whatever limitations are there, those can be now addressed. It can be addressed, but the cost involvement will be more here. The more platform you require, because if the size of the footing or size of the plate is increasing, means you have to apply, you have to maintain a higher load on the top. Okay, so if money is not a problem, then you can overcome those limitations. Whatever limitations are there, those can be overcome by using advanced these equipments. Okay. Okay, so now I will go to that some these links, okay, where this plate load test is performed. Okay, so let me go to this first. See this anyway. It's conventionally nowadays some big companies, they are using this kind of equipment, but usually average on an average, whatever test you will see, those are these kinds of tests. Okay, so whatever second link is there. This link you watch it on your own. This link I will show. This is more towards general. See, you can see this kind of test. You can see more often here. Are you able to hear the voice? Anyway, voice is not that important. Okay, so I will explain accordingly. Just you watch the video and listen to my audio. So this is the pit where they are going inside. Whether audio is also audible for you? Audio, please respond. Anybody?
No, sir.
Audio is not audible. Okay. Actually, here a bridge is going on here. I think I should remove this headphone. I think.
पे जो ब्रिज बन रहा है, हमारा ब्रिज है, ब्रिज की बियरिंग या जो ब्रिज का फाउंडेशन है, इसका बियरिंग कैपेसिटी क्या है?
So this is the Kentledge. Can you see these eye sections? These eye sections will be used to support these Kentledge. These steel eye sections. So this is the loading column. Okay, so this is the loading column. Now they are making some arrangements to put that plate. So that plate should be exactly horizontal. Okay, so that's why, and also see, this is the center of gravity of this loading. Whatever load will be there now, you are applying this Kentledge. That center of gravity should coincide with the center of gravity of your plate. Okay, so that can be established with the help of this plumb bob. So with the help of that as a center, they will put this plate. Okay, so now they are compacting the ground, so that your plate will be put exactly horizontal, without any wobbling of that plates. Around 45 centimeter plate. And they are checking the horizontality of that ground. So this is that plate, 45 centimeter width and around 25 mm thickness. So this will simulate your foundation. Now they will draw some horizontal lines so that they will establish a center of gravity of this plate.
लाइन करके हमारा एक सेंटर पॉइंट आ जाएगा, वो हम पॉइंट एक फिक्स कर लेंगे, ये हमारा सेंटर होगा। वहाँ से वहाँ हम उसको प्लम्बो करेंगे, तो प्लम्बो करके इसको हम शिफ्ट करेंगे कहाँ पे हमारा पे आ रहा है।
Now they are trying to establish the center line. Okay, so from that whatever loading is there, that center of gravity and your plate center of gravity should be coincide.
प्लेट लोड टेस्ट होता है, जो कि इसका बियरिंग कैपेसिटी बताता है। यहाँ पे आपका ब्रिज भी इसी तरह का अंडर वर्क होता है, तो उसमें आप इसको टेस्ट जरूर करते हैं। ये देखिए आपका एकदम
Now they are checking the level. On all the four sides they will check the level. Okay, so this is the jack. Now they are checking the alignment of that jack also with the it should also coincide with the center of gravity of your loading frame.
वो कर लेंगे स्मार्ट।
So this is the loading column.
ये हमारा ब्रिज है, इसका हम
This is the bridge.
लोड टेस्ट करने वाले हैं। कल हम लोड टेस्ट करेंगे, कल इसका हम आपको दिखाएंगे सेपरेट लोड टेस्ट करते हैं। इसकी कैपेसिटी सब थैंक यू सो मच फ्रेंड्स। अगर आप
It's not full video is not there anyway. After next only setup they have shown. Next what they will do, they will put with the help of that jack, they will apply pressure and they will try to lift that whatever dead load or Kentledge is there on the top. Okay, so then they will take the readings. Okay, so that other one more video is there. No? That in that it will be more clear how they will take the readings, those things. Okay, so you can watch during your free time. Okay, so the links are here. Yeah, any doubts, any questions?
How was that neighboring building contributing to the test, sir?
Sorry. Can please come again? Someone asked some question. I could not able to hear because this headphone was not on. Please repeat the question.
How was the neighboring building contributing to the test, sir?
Neighboring building, you are asking?
Yes, sir.
No, the distance neighboring building, it may not contribute because see, it will be far away, and also it is not going to affect. Only if you are doing some huge excavation, then the neighboring building may face some cracks and all. Otherwise, for small shallow excavation, it is not going to affect much. Any other question? Any other questions? Okay. So I will take up some problems. Okay. So from the theory point, everything now completed for your fourth unit. Only I have to solve some more problems. Okay. So just to make you comfortable with these problematic sections. So I think I already solved some three problems, and whatever problems now I am going to solve, these are just extension of those. Okay, so if you would have understood those three problems, then these are cakewalk. Okay, so not much differences will be there. Okay, so only the application. So let us solve 2-3 problems. Okay. So look at this problem. What they are telling: a square footing is located at a depth of 1.3 meters below the ground. Okay, so try to draw the figure. So what is the square footing located at a depth of, okay, so 1.3 meter below the ground there. Okay, so this is my ground level, and this is my depth of the foundation. Depth is 1.3 meter. Okay, so along with me, you should please try to write these things. Okay, so don't sit ideally. So then what is there below the ground has to carry a load of 800 kilonewton. Okay, so how much load is carried? Q is equal to 800 kilonewton. Find the size of the footing they are asking. Okay, so I don't, what is the, anyway, square footing means B by B only. Okay, so your length will be equal to breadth. So this is the question mark. Find the size of the footing. If the desirable factor of safety is 3, factor of safety, how much they are expecting? Factor of safety is 3. The soil has the following properties. What are the properties they have? Voids ratio, that is E equal to 0.55. Degree of saturation is given. Okay, so degree of saturation is how much? 50%. And specific gravity how much? 2.67. And cohesion they given. Okay, so cohesion 8 kilopascal. Angle of shearing resistance is 30 degree. That is phi equal to 30 degree. For this corresponding phi value, they given NC, NQ, and gamma. Okay, so NC is equal to 37.2. NQ is equal to 22.5, and N gamma is equal to 19.7. Okay. So they are asking you to find out width of the footing. Okay, so now write the equation. What is the equation for the square footing from Terzaghi's bearing capacity equation? Q ultimate. Q ultimate equal to, tell me, what is the formula for the square footing? Anybody? Huh? 1.3 CNC plus QNQ plus 0.4 gamma B N gamma. Okay, so NC, NQ, N gamma I know, and C also I know. So Q also I can find out because depth I know, and unit weight. Unit weight, you see, unit weight, did it, have they given unit weight? Unit weight they are not given, right? So how to find out the unit weight? Because to calculate gamma, see, to calculate Q I need a unit weight, and even gamma is here. This is also not known. So how you can find out the unit weight? Recall from your first semester, in the 5th semester, first unit, those equations, some equations were there, no? Like White's ratio definition. Once you know all the volumetric relations, weight relations, after that we have interrelated volumetric and weight relations. Okay, so if you recall the from that your 5th semester, that is basic geotechnical engineering, there was a formula to calculate the bulk unit weight. Okay, so gamma B is equal to, what is the formula if you remember? GS plus degree of saturation into White's ratio divided by 1 plus White's ratio into unit weight of water. Calculate specific gravity 2.67 plus degree of saturation is 50%, that is 0.5, into your White's ratio is 0.55, right, divided by 0.55 into 9.81. That is 0.55 into 9.81. How much you are getting? Bulk density? Huh? How much? Tell me. What is your bulk density?
$18.63.
18.63. Okay, so 18 point, I think I got 64. 18.64 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay, now I got the bulk density. Okay, so now I can calculate. Okay, so Q ultimate equal to 1.3. What is cohesion? Cohesion is 8 kilopascal into your NC. NC is 37.2. Okay, this is my first term. Then what is the second term? Q and Q. Q is nothing but your depth of the footing multiplied by the unit weight. Okay, so 1.3 is depth into unit weight is 18.64. 18.64 into your NQ. NQ is 22.5 plus 0.4 gamma. Gamma 18.64 into B. I don't know. I will put as it is B into N gamma. N gamma is 19.7. Okay. So Q U is equal to if you calculate these two parameters, 932.1 plus 146.88 B. Okay, so this is the ultimate load. What is Q allowable? This is Q ultimate, QU. So Q allowable is equal to this Q ultimate divided by factor of safety. So 932.1 divided by 3 is how much? Factor of safety is 3, no? This factor of safety is 3. So if I multiply 932.1 divided by 3, I will get 311 plus again if you divide 146.88 B divided by 3, you will get 48.96 B. Okay. Now, what is the applied pressure? Applied pressure. Applied pressure is equal to Q divided by your footing area. Footing area. Okay. So Q, how much load you applied? 800 kilonewton. So 800 divided by your footing area B by B. Okay, B square. So this Q allowable and this applied pressure will be equal. So that means you have to equate this equation and this equation should apply. Right. So then what I will get? I will get a cubic equation. Equate 1 and 2. You will get cubic equation. What is the cubic equation? You will get cubic equation of the form 48.96 B cube plus 311 B square minus B square minus 800 equal to 0. Okay, you solve this cubic equation, you will get 3 roots. Okay, so in that 3 roots, 2 roots will be negative and 1 root will be positive. Okay, so that positive root you should take. So that positive root is 1.44 meter. Okay. So what is the required size of the footing to carry whatever 800 kilonewton you applied? No, safely, to carry safely, you required footing size is 1.44 by 1.44 meter. Okay. Yeah. So this problem recently asked in 2019 they asked, okay, for the 10 marks. Okay. So exactly this kind of problem I solved 2 days back. Only thing, what is the difference from that is here the bulk density is there. No? The bulk density is not given directly. Okay, so they given all the parameters to calculate the bulk density. So this is the only extra step you have to do. Okay, otherwise it is just exactly same like the problem which I solved during our extra class in the evening. If you remember, I think Tuesday we took some extra class, no, in the evening. So during that time I solved exactly same kind of problem. Yeah. So this one you see. What they are telling? A rectangular footing has a size of 1.8 meter by 3 meter, has to transmit a load of a column at a depth of 1.5 meter. Calculate the safe load which the footing can carry at a factor of safety of 3 against the shear failure. Okay, so here you see they are asking you to use IS code. Okay, so you have to use the IS code. You can't use the your Terzaghi's bearing capacity equation. So if they not mention use IS code, then you are free to choose any method. You can choose your Terzaghi's bearing capacity theory. Okay, if they are exclusively if they are mentioning that use a particular type of method, then you should use that method only. Okay, so IS code they are exclusively they are mentioning that use IS code. The soil has the following properties: the porosity they given, specific gravity they given, water content they given, cohesion, angle of internal friction. Okay, all the parameters they given. Okay, so first let me draw a figure here. Again, it is a rectangular footing. Okay, so so this is B by L. So what is the B by L here? 1.8 meter by 3 meter. 1.8 meter by 3 meter. 1.8 by 3 meter. And this is my ground. So this is the ground level. A rectangular footing has a size, has to transmit a load of a column at a depth of 1.5 meter. Okay, so what is the depth of foundation here? So this is the depth of foundation. .5 meter. Calculate the safe load. They are asking you what is the Q. Q is safe. Q is question mark. Calculate the safe load which the footing can carry at a factor of safety 3. Okay, so factor of safety is how much? 3 against shear failure. Use IS code method. The soil has the following properties. What are the properties here? They given the porosity. They given 40%. And specific gravity they given 2.67, and water content is 15%, and cohesion they given. What is the cohesion? 8 kilonewton per meter square, and phi value is 32 degree. They given 32.5, but see, like 0.5 doesn't have any meaning. They should not give like 0.5 or C is equal to 8.2 kilonewton per meter square. Okay, so it's immaterial because see, we are having a huge factor of safety and huge uncertainty. Okay, so like this 0.5 and all doesn't have any meaning. Okay, so this can be taken as 32 degree. You can write note or assume like phi is nearly equal to 32 degree. Or if you want to be precise, you can use 32.5 degree also. No, there is no need. There is no hard and fast rule. Okay, so like for my convenient, I am assuming it as a 32 degree. Okay, but if you want to use 32.5 degree, you are free to do so. Okay, but answer it is not going to change much. Usually in civil engineering, whenever we are talking in units, like these kind of fractions, we should not always. Result should be put it in whole numbers. Okay, we should not give in like these fractions. So I will assume phi is equal to 32 degree. Okay, so for this 32 degree, I should calculate NC, NQ, N gamma. So for that, what I have to do? Refer IS 6403 table number 1. Okay, so let us go to that IS. Where is IS code? All of you can see this IS code, right? All of you can see IS code 6403/1981, and it is reaffirmed in 2002. Okay, so let's go to the table number 1. You see, this is table number 1. Okay, so what is my phi value here? What was phi value from my problem? 32 degree, no? Phi is equal to say 32 degree. Okay, so let us see 32 degree here. My phi value is 32 degree. Where is 32? 25, 30, 35. Okay, in between here you will get 32 degree. I will get in between. So corresponding NC value, corresponding NQ value, and corresponding N gamma value. So what you have to do? You have to interpolate between these two. You have to interpolate between phi is equal to 30 degree, 30.14 and 46.12. Okay, so you have to interpolate between these two, and then you will get a NC value. Again, same way you have to interpolate between 18.40 and 33.30. You will get a NQ value, and 22.40, 48.03. You have to interpolate. Then you will get a N gamma value. Okay, so let us do that interpolation here. So from table, I know for 30 degree and 35 degree, I know, right? So for 30 degree, what is the NC value? See, if your next class is scheduled, please let me know. Okay, so I may not be knowing. Okay, so you can interrupt and tell me when your next class is going to start. So until that, I will keep on solving the problem. So for phi value of 30 degree, what is your NC value? For phi value of 30 degree, NC value is 30.14. Okay, so let's put here 30.14. And for phi value of 35 degree, what is the NC value? For a phi value of 35 degree, NC value is 46.12. Okay, so 46.12. But I need a phi value for a how much degree? 32 degree. For phi value of 32 degree, I need what is the question mark here? I will put this as a x. I'll put this as x. Okay. So now if you interpolate between these two, so 46.12 minus 30.14 divided by x minus 30.14 is equal to 35 minus 30 divided by 35 minus 32. So that is your interpolation. So I will write here 46.12 minus 30.14. Okay, this minus this divided by x minus 30.14. So x minus 30.14 must be equal to 35 minus 30 divided by 32 minus 30. 32 minus 30. Okay, only unknown is x here. All other things you know. So x will be equal to 36.53. So this is your NC value. Okay, so put here. 36.53. 36.53. Okay, in the similar fashion, you should interpolate for the NQ value and N gamma value. Okay, so anyway, the procedure I shown here, the same way you should do. Okay, so like for 30 degree, so for 30 degree, what is my NQ value? 18.40, and for 35 degree, my NQ value is 33.30. Okay, so between these two, you should interpolate. And similarly for N gamma also, between these two you should interpolate. Okay, so I already interpolated, and I will return directly the answer here. Okay, so only for one thing I shown the procedure. Okay, so same procedure should be done for NQ and N gamma here. Okay. So NQ I will get 24.36, and N gamma I will get 32.65. Okay, now what is the Q net ultimate? Q net ultimate for the from IS 6403. IS 6403. What is the equation? Can you recall the equation? CNC into SQ shape factor, depth factor into inclination factor. This is Q. SQ dq into IQ. Okay, so this is my first term. Plus, what is the second term? Q into NQ minus 1 into, sorry, here not Q, this is SC DC IC. The suffix SC DC IC. Okay, so Q into NQ minus 1, SQ DQ IQ. Okay. This is shape factor, depth factor, and inclination factor. This is my second term. Plus, what is my third term? 0.5 gamma B N gamma S gamma D gamma and I gamma. Okay, so for this now I have to calculate shape factor, depth factor, and inclination factor. Okay, so anyway, inclination factor will be 1 because the load is applied vertically here. Okay, so he has not given any inclined load here. He has not given any inclined load, right? So in that case, your inclination factor will be 1. Since no inclined load, IC is equal to IQ is equal to I gamma is equal to 1. Now calculate the shape factors. So shape factors I should calculate. That is SC, SQ, and S gamma. What is the formula for the shape factor? So if you remember, if you see the formula here. And one more thing, I should put a note here. Okay, so assume general shear failure case. Okay, so assume, see, phi is greater than 30 degree. I can assume it as a general shear case. Okay, even if you want to assume it as a local shear failure, but you should mention here what you are assuming. Okay, so assume it as general shear failure. Okay, you should mention it properly. Okay, now SC, SQ, S gamma I should calculate. Okay, again go back to the IS 6403. See, here are the shape factors. That is your table number 2. Table number 2 are shape factors. So what is if you have a continuous footing, SC, SQ, S gamma will be 1. If you have a square footing, SC is 1.3, SQ is 1.2, and S gamma is 0.8. But the given from footing is what? Rectangular footing. In our problem, we have a rectangular footing. Then I should use 1 plus 0.2 B by L 1 plus 0.2 b by L and 1 minus 0.4 b by L. Okay, so let us write here. So what is the SC formula? SC is equal to 1 plus 0.2 b by L. SQ also 1 plus 0.2 b by L, and S gamma is equal to 1 plus 1 minus, no, is S gamma here. S gamma 1 minus 0.4 b by L. 1 minus 0.4 b by L. How much you are getting? B is how much? B is how much? Always a smaller dimension is your B value. B is 1.8 and always larger dimension will be your length value. So B is 1.8 and L is 3 meter. So B is 1.8 and the length is how much? 3 meter. Okay, so if you substitute here, SC you should get 1.12, SQ also same thing, 1.12, and S gamma will be 1.24. Okay, so next you have to depth factors you should calculate. Okay, so depth factors. What are those depth factors? DC, DQ, and D gamma. So again, you have to check the formula for what are the formulas for DC, DQ, D gamma. See IS 6403. So section number 5.1.22, where you have a depth factors. So depth factor is DC is 1 plus 0.2 dF by B into square root of N5, and DQ is equal to D gamma if it is less than 10 degree, and if since my phi value is 32 degree, phi value is 32 degree, which is greater than 10 degrees. So then I should use this formulas. So DC, DQ, these two formulas I should use. Okay, so write down here. What is DC here? So DC is equal to 1 plus 0.2 dF by B into square root of N phi. What is N phi here? So N phi, so N phi is nothing but if you go here, N phi. N phi equal to tan square of pi by 4 plus phi by 2. Okay. So N phi is equal to tan square of pi by 4 plus pi 1. Okay. So since N phi is nothing but tan square, so this square and square root will get cancelled. Okay. So 1 plus 0.2 depth of footing by breadth into tan of, see this pi by 4 is there, this pi by 4 it is in radian. This radian, then this phi also you should put in radian, or you can convert this into degree so that you can put this phi also in degree. Okay, so tan of pi by 4, if you convert this radian into degree, then it will be 45 degree plus phi value. What is phi value they given? 32 degree they given, no? Phi is 32 degree. Put here 32. How much you are getting DC value? Tell me. DC, I think 1.237. Okay. Similarly, you calculate DQ is equal to D gamma is equal to 1.
32 by 2, no sir.
Sorry, 32?
32 by 2.
32 by 2. Why 32 by 2? Tan square pi by 4 plus 5, no? Oh, it is 5 by 2. Okay, understood. Yeah, 32 by 2. Sorry. Here 5 by 2. 32, 45 plus 32 by So how much you are getting? DC is same, no? You are getting same value, right? Calculate how much you are getting. DC, whether are you getting 1.237?
1.60.
1.60 you are getting. 1 minute, let me check. So tan 32, 16 degree. Okay, 16 plus 45 degree is 61 degree. So tan of that, multiply by depth of footing. How much depth of footing they given? 1.5. 1.5 by 1.5 by your breadth is how much? Breadth is 1.8. 1.8. Okay. Multiply by 0.2 plus 1. 1.237 I am getting. Correct, it is. 1.237 only. 1.3 we are getting. Anyway, I will stick to 1.237 because I am getting 1.237. I hope some of you may getting this 1.237.
1.30, sir.
1.30. Anybody getting 1.23? Anybody
Yes,
is
sir,
getting
1.3.
1.23? 1.3 only. Okay. Plus 45. Tan of 45. Tan of this answer. Multiply by depth of footing. Depth of footing 1.5. 1.5 divided by your depth is 1.8. Plus 1. Okay, so 1.3 you are getting,
Yes, sir.
Please respond. How much you are getting? 1.3. Okay, I will stick to
1.3,
1.3. Okay, I will make this round. I will 1.3 I will carry on. Okay, so dq and d gamma is equal to what is the formula? 1 minus what is the formula? dq d gamma 1 plus 0.1 df by b into square root of n5. Okay, plus 0.1 df by b into square root of n5. Okay, so 1 plus 0.1 df, that is 1.5 divided by breadth is 1.8 into square root of n5. Square root of n5 is nothing but your tan of 45 degree plus 32 by 2. How much you are getting?
1.15.
dq d gamma 1.15. Yeah, this much. Is it correct? Okay. Next, once I got all the parameters, simply now what I can do, I can put the I can substitute and get the answer. Okay, so simply I have to substitute in this equation. So let us substitute here. So q n u, that is a c. C and c is q dq iq. Okay, so 8 into, that is my c value. Nq is 36.53 into SQ is how much? 1. SQ. Sorry. SC is 1.12. Okay. So 1.12 into SC and DC. What is the DC value? 1.3. 1.3 DC and IC is anyway 1, right? This is my first term. What is the second term? Q into NQ minus 1, right? Q is how much? Q is this depth is 1.5 What is the unit weight? Gamma they given. Okay. Gamma they are not given, right? The unit weight of soil they are not given, but they given all these parameters. Okay, with the help of these parameters, I can calculate gamma value. How I can calculate? Okay, so I will write down here. Huh? So what are they given? They given porosity, they given specific gravity, they given, and water content they given. Okay, so with this I can calculate my bulk density. I can calculate. Okay, or sorry, dry density. For dry density, I have a formula which is relating to my porosity. Okay, so if you recall from your fifth semester formulas, so that's why I was telling you. Okay, so this whatever fifth semester first chapter is there, no, that formula should be with you for this course also. Okay, so whatever formulas there in where you are learned in your fifth semester. So if you recall that formula, that is your gamma D is equal to, what is gamma D is equal to? GS into gamma D is equal to GS into gamma W divided by 1 plus E. But E I don't know. White's ratio I don't know. But they given porosity. They given porosity. From the porosity I can calculate E value. How much porosity they given? 40%. So porosity is how much? 40%. So there is a formula relating your porosity and White's ratio. That is E is equal to N divided by 1 minus N. So if you use that, you will get 0.4 divided by 1 minus 0.4, which is equal to 0.67. Okay. So use that. Gamma D is equal to specific gravity. How much they given? Specific gravity 2.67. So 2.67 into 9.81 divided by 1 plus your E is 0.67. So how much you are getting gamma D?
15.71.
10.68.
15.68 kilonewton per meter cube you got. Okay, so this is the dry density I got. But you see, he has given a water content. Okay, so water content of 15%. That means it is not fully dry. Whatever soil is there, no, it is not fully dry. It is having some water content. Then you should use the bulk density. So how to calculate the bulk density? So gamma bulk is equal to gamma D divided by 1 plus W. So gamma D is 15.68 divided by 15.68 divided by 1 plus what is the water content they given? How much water content? 15%. Okay, so 0.14. Okay, so my bulk density is now how much?
13.63.
Yeah. So gamma B. Gamma B is equal to how much you are getting?
13.87.
0.63.
1 minute. Okay. I see little bit. Gamma D is equal to, see this formula. I will rewrite here. Okay, so see, I will rewrite the formula to relate your dry unit weight and bulk unit weight. Okay, so your dry unit weight is equal to bulk unit weight divided by 1 plus W. I need a bulk unit weight. Okay, so gamma B is equal to 1 plus what is the water content? Water content how much? 15%. 0.15 into my dry density. Dry density is 15.68. Tell me how much you are getting bulk density.
18.03.
18.03. 18.03 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay. This is in radian. Now I know the bulk density of the soil. So bulk density is equal to how much I got? 18.03 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay. So Q is equal to what? 18.03 into what is the depth of foundation? 18.03. Depth of foundation is 1.5. So into 1.5. Now it become Q. Okay, so this is what a Q into NQ. NQ is how much? NQ is how much? 24.36. Right here. 24.36 NQ minus 1. Q NQ minus 1 into SQ DQ IQ. Okay, what is the SQ value? SQ is 1.12. 1.12 into DQ. DQ value is how much? DQ is equal to 1.15. 1.15. IQ anyway it is 1. Okay, so this is my second term. Plus, what is my third term? Third term is 0.5 into gamma 18.03. 0.5 gamma into B. What is the breadth of footing here? Breadth 1.8 meter, no? Breadth is 1.8. So 1.8 gamma, sorry, 0.5 gamma B N gamma. What is the N gamma? N gamma is 32.65. 32.65. 32.65. Okay. So into S gamma, D gamma, I gamma. Okay. So what is the S gamma? S gamma is 1.24. 1.24 S gamma, and D gamma is 1.15 into I gamma is 1. Okay. Calculate how much you are getting net ultimate. So if you calculate both all three terms together, you will get confused. Okay, so let us calculate single term. Okay, so what is this term?
1.7.
QNU is equal to the first term 404. 404. See, I think my NC value and your NC value may different. Okay, because I used DC value. I used DC value. This DC value I used 1.237. Okay, but if you use 1.3, a little bit changes may happen here. Anyway, you calculate yourself. How much you are getting? You tell me. Q net ultimate. So this first term. I will write my old results only. Okay, these whatever results I am writing, these are according to DC of 1.23, not 1.3. I will write anyway. I will write here 404.9. This is first term. Second term 791.1. This third term is 745.48. So together I am getting a net ultimate 1941.5 kilonewton per meter square. This is my net ultimate. Okay, what is the net safe? Q net safe is equal to Q net ultimate divided by factor of safety. So net ultimate one, how much you are getting? I think 647 I will get. 647 kilonewton per meter square. Okay. So, but they are asking you to calculate the safe load. It is a safe pressure. Okay, so this is the safe pressure because per meter square. But I need a safe load. They are asking, right? The Q safe. The Q safe is equal to Q net safe into area. So 647 into your length into breadth. That length breadth is 1.8 meter and length is 3 meter, right? 1.8 by 3 meter, right? So tell me how much you're getting.
3494.6.
So Q safe is equal to how much?
3494.6 kilonewton per meter.
1 minute.
3,493.8.
Wait a minute. Q 3000.
493.8.
Okay. Yes, so this much load it can carry. Any doubts regarding the problem here? First, what you have to do? First job is to find out this density, because they're not given directly this density. Okay, so it is unnecessary. Simply if they given a density directly, then no need to do all this business. It's simply they are making complicated, because these concepts you already learned. No, why to recall these formulas? But anyway, this VTU mindset is a little bit odd. They would have given a bulk density directly instead of giving all these porosity, specific gravity. So it's anyway, we are not going to test your memory, whether how much you remembered your old formulas. But of course, it is required, but it is not essential. Essential thing is what? Concepts, not the formulas. Anyway, once you start your practice, these formulas will be at your fingertip. If you Google it, you will get these all formula. But how to use that formula, that is more important than remembering the formula itself. Understood, no? Yeah. Any doubts? Any doubts regarding the regarding this problem? So first you have to calculate the density. Then once you know density, then write down the formula. You refer to 6403 here. Go to 6403. I assumed it as a general shear failure case. Okay, so general shear failure case, I will take this formula. I return the formula, and then what I did, I have calculated all the required parameters. What are those required parameters? Like SC, DC, IC, SQ, DQ, IQ, S gamma, D gamma, and I gamma. Anyway, water table correction is not required because they're not given any details about the position of the water table. Okay, so that's why your water table correction will be 1. So these shape factors can be found out from this table too, and depth factors can be found out by this formula. So depth factors, and then inclination factors. Anyway, inclination factor alpha is 0, so your IC IQ will be IC IQ I gamma will be 1. If they given alpha value, then you should calculate these parameters also. Then once you do that, simply what you have to do, you have to substitute all the parameters inside this formula, then get the answer. So when is your next class? Do I have time still? Dear, when is your next class scheduled? Let me check your timetable. Today is Friday, no? So 2 classes I have taken up to 11:10. Oh, it's already 11:24. So there your next class is there or not? Please tell me. No. Okay. So shall I take up one more problem? Or you want me to end it here? Please respond. I can take one more problem here, provided if you say yes. Otherwise, I will end the class here. What do you want?
Yes, sir,
Let's
you
take
can.
up tomorrow, sir.
Tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No issue. Today evening we have one guest lecture. Okay, so please inform your friends and join that evening guest lecture. Okay, it is only for half an hour. So please don't miss that, because we have requested him a lot to take that class. If you join with a very poor number, then it will be insult for our college, right? In front of these guest lectures. Please do attend in large numbers. And timing is from 5 to 5:30 will be see what they will in that guest lecture. They will explain you these how this wind energy will be utilized for the power generation, and what are these wind turbines will be there. No? The design concepts of these wind turbines. Okay, so this is the now booming area where you can get a lot of job opportunities. Okay, so please don't miss that guest lecture. You please do attend in large numbers. Okay, even you please inform your friends also, in your seniors who are interested. Okay, so please circulate that whatever flyer I have sent in your WhatsApp group. Please circulate that among your friends, and please do attend in a large number. So if the numbers is more, then even that guest lecture also will get little bit interest, and he will dwell in the details. Okay, so that was the motive here. So what I will do, I will stop the recording here. Stop the record.